Hi. Welcome back to A Cup of Tea.
Today, this is part 2 of the self-image cup of tea from last week. So if you haven't heard the last episode, we recommend that you go back, listen to it, and then come back to this one.
I like that you said recommend instead of like, go watch that one first and then come back to this one.
Yeah, so do that. I mean, or not, whatever, you know? And now on the regularly scheduled program, I'm the water.
And I'm the pine. And, well, I'm messing it up. Are you?
Because we usually start the other way around.
Yes, exactly. It's okay. So, welcome to A Cup of Tea, a podcast about exploring life through each other's eyes.
Well, sharing a cup of tea with you.
There we go. We did
Yes. We survived.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, our lovely tea, again, sponsored by the water. Mm-hmm. Today we are maybe we can say that it's sponsored by the Rocky.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The Rocky is a friend of ours. He's part of why I am the pine and she is the water.
Yes.
And he is the Rocky. And do you remember how he told us, or like, what was the deal?
It was when he came back from being in India for a while,
mm-hmm.
I think he went, or maybe he didn't go to India. I don't know. He traveled so much. But he learned that in India, I think, they do this thing called coffee milk tea, which is just what it sounds.
Coffee, milk, and tea.
Yeah. And it's really good. We can recommend it.
Yeah, when he first brought it to us, it was like a thing.
Yeah.
We would do a lot of coffee milk tea.
Yes.
And it's really nice. So we've been very tired lately, and we decided to add some coffee to our tea today, in hopes of bringing us back from the death. Exactly. Yeah, we both went for the same thing. Now, to the matter at hand. I think last kind of thing that I was trying to say was that it's not only about fat shaming people. Yeah. And like the conversation shouldn't always be just about being overweight, but it's also about like so many, I guess, even things that we are not aware of. But like in my case, it's more like I lose weight. And apparently it's something that happened to my mom. She had hyperthyroidism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she like burned calories in her sleep. And she tells me like how they had her like eating, what is it? The thing that's in beer?
Malt syrup?
No. Cebada.
Molasses? Oh.
Isn't it cebada? Yes.
It's oh Jesus. Yeah, it's like I just saw this the other day.
It's a grain, right?
It's a grain. It's they do like the sort of syrup from it. I think is what you're
Well, I don't know. But like whatever makes you get a beer belly, I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
And they had her not drink beers, but like eat that thing or drink that thing or whatever. In whichever shape or form it came, so that she would gain weight because of how fast she was losing it and stuff. Then I think she got her thyroid.
Thyroid.
It's one.
I don't know.
It's a singular.
It's just one. Yes.
Okay. I don't know. She got it taken out or something. Anyways, she had that when she was younger, and I don't think I have it. But again, in case this wasn't part of the previous episode, I started taking the pill because I had acne, not for sexual reasons. And that pill just kind of drained me. Like it did take away my acne. It helped me a lot, but it also kind of made me very skinny. And after 2 years of taking it nonstop, I realized that it's like that kind of period of time. When I get to 2 years, like it really starts showing that I'm not in a Well, it looks like I'm not in a healthy state. Like, I don't particularly see it, but the people around me do. And it always kind of gets to that 2-year mark.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like every 2 years, if I am on the pill, I'm like, Like, for example, now, since I met Pablo, I started taking it again. And I've reached that, like, somewhere between 1.5 years and 2 years. And I realized that it really kind of drains me. And the way that I see it, not only in my weight, but it kind of takes away my libido, my sexual appetite.
Yeah.
And that was a theory I had, like, in my previous relationship. And I was like, might be the pill. And now I kind of, like, it's not very scientific, but I'm, like, proving my theory. And I was like, yes. Because I stopped taking it, like, 3 months ago or something. And I see it coming back, so I'm like, what is this? But yeah, it just goes to show, like, how much, and I've heard of it, like, I didn't think of it myself. I was from a friend whose sister had the same issue. And I was like, well, maybe that's what's happening here. But anyways, my point is that it drained me. And so I've struggled from at some point in my teenage years to now, where it's a thing whenever if I see my mom or I see my brother, they're both like, you're too skinny. And my mom comes at it with, they both come from a concerned kind of place, but my brother seems meaner about it. He's just like, he looks at me funny and he's like, ew, like, And my mom is just like, I'm concerned. Why are you not eating? And it's like, I am eating. But at the same time, it's not only on the pill, but the whole thing about me being vegan or vegetarian or trying one or the other, and the fact that I don't like to cook. I believe that is a big, big, big struggle. I don't like to eat. I don't like to cook. I'm not a foodie. We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
So I have to work really hard at trying to have a nutritious, balanced diet. Like, I've been going to the nutritionist for this year, I think.
Look at that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I wanted more like an actual approach and not just my idea of like, need to eat or whatever. And it's been helping me. And I do feel, I haven't seen her in a couple months because I see her every 2 months. And I'm going to see her, I think, next week or this week or something. I do feel like I've gained weight. My theory, again, is that I stopped the pill. Hopefully I am eating better. I try. I know I'm not the best. Because I started going with this one specifically because I was going with my niece.
Yeah.
And she goes every week. Like, I take her every month, actually. And I can see the effort she puts in. She has more of the struggle of, like, she's always been, like, very heavy-bodied. And she, like, that's the thing. Because I feel like with my mom, I kind of can put enough space where, like, it's not that easy for her words to get to me. Even though I know her words come from a loving place.
Yeah.
But it's like a joke, in like Modern Family, how Claire's mom's always like saying stuff about her and about her hair and things like that. And I guess it's a joke that moms are like that. And I can see it with my mom, like trying to make me feel and look better by criticizing me a little bit kind of thing. And I think my niece just has taken me a lot harder. Probably she's younger. She's taking it from like my mom, her grandma, her mom at the time, and just the people around her. You know? Probably my brother has been the one that's least touched the subject and more like do whatever you want. But her mom always struggled with it, and she was always trying to lose weight. And there is this theory that we have that maybe because of some pills she was taking to lose weight is why she died. But that's another story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That or like negligence from the doctor that tended to her. Anyways, that's another story.
Yeah.
So
that's in a pocket.
Yeah, that's in a pocket if you guys want to look at that.
Yeah.
We'll put it somewhere for you to find it.
There's gonna be a link somewhere on the screen.
Yes. But yeah, I'm just sort of getting into this thought of how it affects us, what the people around us say, and especially when they don't say it in the best way. And I think a lot of people, especially the grown-ups that we're around, don't know how to say things like that. Even if they come from a loving place, they just don't have the touch, the I don't know, like communication intelligence.
Well, I don't know what that is about. Like I was trying to analyze that sort of thing of criticizing or communicating criticism to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it's on the I would so fail my communication theory classes at this right now.
Lady.
But okay, there's the receiver and the sender. That's what I couldn't remember. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that the problem is with the sender, maybe both have a problem.
I would say both.
Maybe it's how you receive the message and you take it to heart in a bad way, right? And there's also the other person that doesn't quite know how to do it, and they probably are not taking the best approach to do it.
Yeah, it's a thing that I can see the difference in with like when my mom says it to me, especially if it's about my weight. Yeah. But one of the things that I was trying to get into, but then, like the tangents that we always take, is that it's not just about like fat shaming or whatever, but so many other things that can have repercussions. So, like in my case, one of the things that I am more insecure about in my body image thing is like my acne scars. Mm-hmm. So my mom, since I can remember, has always been very adamant about me taking care of my skin and like not touching it, and because she went through the same thing and she's traumatized to the point where she kind of like has inserted that trauma into me. Even though when I was a kid, I did not care. I really, for the life of me, did not care. Yeah. And I think I only began to care because she insisted so much. Yeah. And she made me self-aware. And on the one hand, there's that. But on the other, I do think I am more appreciative of my skin in a healthy outlook. Like, I want to take care of it. And sure, like, I would love for the scars to fade away. And hopefully, because I'm treating it, they will. Mm-hmm. But now I'm more in a, skincare is a self-care kind of approach. Yeah. It's very nice. It's very lovely. I really like it. But I don't think... I might be wrong. If we ask my mom, she might say, like, no, that's not the real... That's not what it is. Because I don't feel like there was a moment where my mom, like, sat down with me and explained to me, like, this is your body. You should take care of it. Like, this is how you take... Because my mom it is, at some point, was an esthetician. She did study for that.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So she knows a bunch of shit. And it was her trauma. Probably that's why she studied it. And, she could tell me the, like, technical aspects of it and, like, why acne happens and what kind of acne I had and what to do about it and why I shouldn't pop my pimples.
Yes, you should not.
I know. Yes. But I feel like her speech always came from a, like, reprimanding place, but also from a superficial look, which is a bit unfair of me to say it that way, but it's, like, I feel like it would have been so much better if she took it from a healthy perspective rather than from a looks perspective. Especially because when I was a kid or I was younger, I was very like against the like beauty conversation and against the pretty girls. Like I don't want to wear a dress kind of thing. So when she came at me from that point of view, I was like, nope, I don't care. I will not care. I do not want to get sucked into that pink world of yours, girls. So I rejected it even more.
Yeah.
And maybe if it had been a different conversation, I would have gotten it. So I can see the like sender receiver thing, where maybe the sender who is the one, because I feel like this is a conversation. I don't know. I know we've had this conversation, like myself, in like psychology, and I would assume that you have had it in communications, where it's like, whose responsibility is it to actually, be responsible for the message, the sender or the receiver?
Yeah.
And I guess it is a bit of both, but if the sender is the one that wants to convey the message, then the sender should be a little bit more responsible rather than have this attitude of like, I've sent the message, so whatever you get from the message is your problem. Which is kind of valid in a way. But if your point is not to just convey whatever message and whatever people get from it, it's their problem, which can be an option. But your option is like, no, I need you to understand. Well, then it is on you to explain, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And this is, it's funny that even more than in school, this is a conversation I've had with my dad and my brother so much.
Really?
Yeah. Because of, I know, I think this is one of the tangents, but,
that is recording, right?
Yes, that is recording.
Okay, I was just curious.
We can cut that.
You've talked to your brother and your dad? How did that go?
Well, it's been interesting because it's always been the argument of whose fault or whose responsibility is it, whether you understand one thing or another. And it has always been, if you are the sender of the message, you should take responsibility for what the other person is understanding. Which I think I've argued the other side of. Yeah, sure. But you cannot blame the sender for how you feel about what you heard, And to me, I think it has been more about learning to take the message, not personally.
Yeah.
Which, of course, if we circle back to the body image thing and the criticism that comes from authority figures, and especially a mom or a grandma, it's kind of hard to separate. Well, no, it's not kind of. It is very hard to separate and to not take it personally because it is a personal thing. They're talking about your face or your skin or your body or your person. So how do you not take that personally, right? And how I was telling you about the huge epiphany that I had the other day? That is exactly like what you're talking about, how your mom talks to you about your skin and you didn't think of it before, but then you sort of started to internalize it the more she said it. And I was... Okay, so for our audience, for you listener that doesn't know what we were talking about before, when I told you this off camera and we're not here. I was watching this video of a girl who, the title of the video was "Athlete Draws Herself Naked" or something. And I think the clickbaitish thing of that is that if you look at the thumbnail for that video, she doesn't look like your stereotypical athlete. She's not like a skinny, muscular girl kind of person. She's body. I had this moment of doubt when you were. When we were hesitating about how to describe your knees, whether to say heavy or not, or how to describe a person. I get that. I don't know either sometimes. So she was this fat girl, basically, who kind of, what I told her was like, kind of reminded me of myself because she had bleached hair, like purplish or something. And she was talking about her body and her self-image and how she grew up and everything. And she said something about her mom being counterculture. So she was always very much like, you can love your body and there's nothing wrong with it or whatever. And that sort of, I don't know, it made my brain go insane, like haywire. And I had this big epiphany of, I internalized that message of there's something not quite all right with your body, I think might be the way to say it. Where my grandma would tell me, you know, you're pretty, but you would be prettier if you were skinnier.
I remember that, yeah.
And then, like, my mom didn't say that to me, but she would, as much, I guess, as your mom did, in a way, or as your niece's mom, she would be taking me to nutritionists all the time and doing diets and stuff.
That is my niece's life, yes.
Yeah, so I remember, for example, one point, it was my brother, my dad, and I were on vacation. We went to the beach. And while being there, my brother was telling me, you know, like, why don't you try to be healthier? Why don't you...
Your brother was telling you?
Yeah, he told me.
Because he thinks you're not healthy?
Yeah.
I feel like you're one of the healthiest persons I know.
Yeah, well, at the time, I think I wasn't. And I was having...
Really?
Or maybe not that
like
I was...
Like in what way?
I think it was a semester that was super hard in school. And if I remember correctly, this was... That had been like the heaviest I've ever been in my life.
Were you like not exercising? Were you not eating?
I think I was very stressed.
That'll do wonders.
Because I do think I was eating. I dare to guess I was pretty much eating the same way I am eating now. Well, no, maybe I'm being healthier this year, but eating better this year. But I was not like just, you know, eating chips and Nutella all the time. I don't think so. I remember having, like, baby carrots for lunch, you know? I don't know. So he was like, yeah, you know, like, I'm trying this. He was on this path of, like, being healthier with his girlfriend. They were going to the gym and, like, you know. And he had been doing great. So he was trying to, like, pull me into that sort of well-being, I guess, nice. Or whatever. But at the time, I was done with it. I was like, I told him, I appreciate where you're coming from. But I have struggled with this for years, and you have no idea what it has been like. So, although I appreciate that you come in here with a good intention, I am done. I'm not going to try. I'm going to give myself a break of attempting to, like, diet for a while, and then I will, you know, maybe get back on the horse. But right now, I'm done with it.
Do you have you noticed if it has been different? I guess it has, like, because your brother is also, you know, like, heavy weighted.
Yeah,
you know?
He's like a big. He's super tall. Yeah, and he has a beer belly, and he's heavy-ish. Yeah, he's a
big guy.
Yeah,
you know, like my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
They're both. Has he sort of had any that, you know, I know you guys are not like the closest pals. Yeah, that you talk about your issues and stuff that much. But has that ever been sort of brought up, like in the family or just you and him, where he has struggles with his self-image because of weight or other things that we may not think about?
No, not really.
So you don't know that it's ever been a thing for him?
I mean, I think I've seen, because we have done stuff together, like, you know, doing the insanity workout thing, or he would tell me that he wants to also be healthier and eat better because he has a terrible diet in general. But not so much as, not as often, maybe, not as much. I don't know that it has been as much of a struggle for him as it has been for me, especially because when we were kids, he was super skinny. Like, he was a skinny kid.
He was?
Yeah.
Wow.
And wow.
Like my nephew?
Yeah. But then I think he started gaining weight around the time we moved to Mexico. Or maybe a little after that. Or not. I don't know. Now that I think about it. But it was, yeah, so he, I guess I would have to ask him, but I don't think he ever, I would bet he never got that same message of, oh, you're cute, but you'd be cuter if you were skinnier. I would bet whatever you want. He never got that said to him. So yeah, when he told me this, I was like, yes, thank you. I appreciate your effort. But no. I mean, I have struggled with this for a long time. Everybody has had an opinion. Everybody has told me what I could do, what I should do. It's kind of like, I feel like when you're pregnant, not that we have ever been pregnant, but like everybody has an opinion on that, you know?
Or they have advice to give you.
Yeah. And so I told them at the time, like, I am not going to do that. I am going to not care for a second.
Yeah.
And then it got better. Like, yeah. And so I think I lost my train of thought here for a little bit. But, oh no, right. The whole epiphany thing. So I do think that my grandma telling me this thing of, you're pretty, but you would be pretty if you were skinnier. Or they would compare me a lot to my dad's sister, who has been overweight her entire life. And she struggled with it a lot. Also with my grandma, like my grandma would tell her, like, to lose weight and all that stuff. And also I guess because my grandma also had that struggle herself.
She did?
Yeah. I mean, she was never like an obese woman.
Yeah, no, she looks like she's a skinny woman.
Yeah. But she had to lose, like, I don't know, say 40 pounds when she had to have knee surgery a long time ago. And she kept that weight forever after losing it. So because she went through it, she had my aunt go through it, and then my mom and other people around me would be always like, you don't want to be like your aunt, Which, okay, I do think that she's not the healthiest person that I know. And I do not want to be like that. So
in more ways than one.
Yes. Yeah. But the point is, like that input that you have from people in your life when they're trying to criticize you can damage you so much.
I know. And you know what? I feel like that's one of the healthiest things that you can do for yourself when you're struggling with something like this. Because in my case, it was a little bit like, because it was my mom and I was littler. I was younger and stuff. It was very much like she would take me to all these, like instead of diets or like nutritionists, she would take me to facials and treatments and stuff. And she would buy me so many like cream thingies and wash your face thingies. And again, because I was so against the beauty thing. Yeah. I was like, no, I refuse to do all this shit. So then, like, it was like a vicious cycle of my mom trying to fix it and buying me shit, and me like, okay, mom, I'll do it. And then I didn't do it because it wasn't something that I believed in. Yeah. And then things wouldn't work out, and then my mom would be like, I've spent all this money on you so that you don't have to face the same thing that I did. And you know, that kind of guilting trip. Yeah. Jesus. But it came to a point where I was like, no, mom, stop. I grew up a little bit. And I was like, no, stop. I'll deal with this in a way that I can deal with it. yeah, I don't know if it's because it felt imposing, like imposed on me from her, or what it was. Maybe I was just not ready. And again, I do have this notion that if the conversation's perspective had been more from the health thing, she would have gotten to me a lot more. Because I've always had this, like, have you ever done, there's this test of...
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. What is it? Like... I don't know where... I'm going to find it so that we can do it.
Okay.
But it's not like Myers-Briggs or stuff. It's like... What are their qualities, I guess? And like one of them is zest for life. You know, how much... I don't remember how many of them there are, but let's say that there's 20 of them.
Yeah.
Right? And like the test tells you which one you have the most of and which is the last, and like numbers them for you. I love that they say, like, just because this one's the last one doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means that you have all these other ones more. And I thought that was really cute. But anyway, like, one of the ones that I have the most is zest for life. And the other one is, like, I don't remember the actual word for it, but what it means is, like, you keep yourself in check. And I have that one a lot. So it's always been, from being aware of it, it's always been like, oh, if you tell me that this is healthy and this isn't, I'm going to go for the healthy one.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if that had been her approach, that would have been more helpful for both of us. Which, again, kind of speaks to the whole, like, sender-receiver kind of thing, and knowing your audience. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like we are very aware of that, but I don't think they were ever in a generational thing. And I think I always end up saying that struggles are generational. I'm sorry if that's not the case. It's just my experience. But yeah, taking a break and doing things on your own. Because once I was older, I stopped living with my mom and stuff like that. When it really, really got to me, because I didn't have as bad scars at the beginning, but I was living in the US and then working with animals, and they sent me to Cancun to work at a dolphinarium. And that's when shit hit the fan. Because I was in a humid, hot place that was not good for my skin. And I was in touch with, like, salty water and fish all day. And I was not eating healthy back then. I gained a lot of weight. I think that's the heaviest I've been. And when I came back, Jesus, I had a lot of acne, like the most acne I've ever had. And when I came back here to, like, visit before I went back to the preserve in the US, I remember my mom saw me for the first time after the Cancun trip. I was there for like 3 months. And I saw the shock on her face. I knew she was trying to hide it. I knew she tried to hide it. But she was so concerned for me in that moment. I was like, oh, shit. But she didn't say anything. I think because of how bad it was. She was like, I'm not even... And it got better. Again, like, I was taking pills and stuff like that, so on and so forth. And... now that my active acne has gone away and I can see the leftover scars, they do get to me, but now it's like, I don't know. I do believe a little bit of it is the trauma that she planted in me. But now I think it's more of how my perception of the beauty conversation has changed, which I think we talked about last episode. So now it's coming from me, but I did have to take a moment and be like, no, Mom, like, I need to figure this by myself. I need you to not try to deal with it for me. So I guess that's similar to the, you know what, like, no, I'm gonna take a break. And once you take a break, you can, like go at it with fresh eyes, and you can decide for yourself what you want rather than listening to other people.
Yeah, I think so too. Because after I took that break, I think that was around 2017, if I remember correctly, that like vacation. Then, for example, I remember that I went to Sweden, and I was looking at photos yesterday from that time, and I look so great. I'm like, see, that I just needed that, like, that space to just find myself,
Find your way.
Yeah, find my way. And I can see very clearly, like, the pattern of this happens when I'm stressed. This happens when I have, not that I have everything under control, because I've also learned that it's impossible to have everything under control, but you sort of like, if you can manage yourself, I think, that's like the minimum. But yeah, like I felt healthier in Sweden, even though I was not maybe eating the best I could. I mean, I was doing quite well. But if I compare that time from like now with the bar challenge and the like super healthy-ish, kind of starting to delve into like a sort of health guru type of vibe, which I don't like, and that's not my thing, but that that group of people with the bar challenge are sort of like that, like health guru-ish. And it's like, I can appreciate some tips that they might have, but sometimes it's also like, it's too much. I am so not gonna be that kind
like
of
not obsessed over it.
Yeah, no. But I also could tell, for example, that when I started getting stressed out and a little bit depressed, I stopped taking care of myself, like in general, which I could notice in, like, I started gaining weight super quickly. I was eating whatever, like not paying attention to it. I stopped. Well, I kept dancing but it was more like, it was not bringing me that much joy.
That's tough when you get to a point where something like dance, being a dancer, doesn't fulfill you. That's a tough thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say that my balance now, to wrap things up, has been to, if I'm struggling at times, I give myself a break. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. You can get back on the horse. You can have a moment of, like, for example, I did have this thing of, like, I think a couple of weeks ago, we were super busy. Or maybe it was more than a couple of weeks ago. But there was this week that I didn't go to the gym at all, or I didn't go swimming at all. And I was so, like, I resented it so much.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or maybe not resented, but it had a massive, bigger impact than I thought it would have. I was not having that, like, moment to just chill. And because I tried meditating for a while, but then I couldn't stick to it. And the most meditative thing I do is is because it's just like me and my thoughts. And maybe not even just swimming, but doing like some sporty thing. Mm-hmm. Because it's just, I'm so focused, right? So, yeah. So that is what, okay, I need to do this. Like, there are these things that I absolutely need to do to be able to do everything else. Like, I don't know if it was a video or something on Instagram that somebody said, you know how I think it was about being a mom or something. And they were saying, when you're a mom, you tend to think that you need to put your kids first so that they can thrive and everything. But you have to think of it as if you were on a plane where you would need to put your oxygen mask first in order to help somebody else. So it's kind of like that. It's like, okay, I know I need to take care of myself first. And there's these things that I work on to look the way I want to look, like the hair thing, which is part 1, if you haven't heard it. And then there's like the exercising, eating better thing, which I don't know if we're getting old. I don't know if that's that's like a becoming old thing. I'm like, you know how
like being more conscious of yourself, or like
kind of like. I think that's maybe
maturing, you mean?
Yes, we're adulting in a way.
Yeah.
I'm like, now we know. Okay, it's like I wouldn't exactly compare it to you being vegan or /vegetarian, but it kind of seems to me like, oh, I know that I can't drink milk because I will feel bloated. Or I know that my grandma was the other grandma, not the traumatizing one, was telling me the other day, we were having lunch and she said, oh, I hate cucumbers because they make me bloat every time I eat them. And I was like, oh, so I'm not insane.
Is that a thing for you too?
Yeah, apparently it is. I guess it is like a genetic thing. I don't know. But yeah.
Wow.
So it's like, I don't know, adulting and finding out how your body works, kind of.
I wonder, I know it looks like I just have this pies for this generational thing. But I do, I'm getting like philosophical here, or like not like existential, not, I don't know. We'll see where this goes. But I was just having this thought of like education and, like back to my very lovely Plato and Aristotle and like the Greeks, kind of this idea of like you are a integral being. So, like Aristotle was very like, yes, you do poetry and you do your exercises, you know, and whatever, maths, things, science. But you need to like feed your soul with poetry and feed your body with exercise. And I don't know, have you heard this thing of like our school system comes from the Industrial Revolution?
Yeah.
So I wonder, where, I guess there, but like my question was like, where did we lose that
approach?
Yeah, that concept of being an integral being. Because I don't think, even in school where it's like, oh, yes, I have in like elementary. Yes, I have extracurricular classes and I stay after school to do like basketball or whatever I was doing. But I don't think it was ever taught to me that I was doing that to care for my body, to train my body. I've always been very into the martial arts ideology, kind of, because I feel like they're very teachy. Like they're very conscious about teaching you the correctness, the like sacredness. I don't know how to explain it, but just this importance of how you are a being of all these parts that you need to care for them.
Yeah.
And they're very into this like mind and body link, and you take care of both of them. And I think that's why I'm into them so much, because I don't feel like we were taught.
Yeah.
And this grown-up-y thing, I think it's just because we are able to seek our own knowledge. And when we were little, if they didn't teach us, I don't think we were very understanding of the fact that we could find our own teaching.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Does that make sense? I feel like I rambled a little bit, but it's because I have these thoughts and I'm just trying to make sense of them. And it's just that idea. How were we already there with like the Greeks and whatever? And then something happened that messed us up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I do think about like, if I have kids, first of all, I want to be ready in a sense that not just like economically and, very important things that a lot of people don't think about before having kids, but in a teaching way, in a guidance way. Yeah. I don't, like if I'm going to have kids, it's because I am willing to like show them this world and that kind of stuff. And I don't think our parents, or at least I don't think mine, ever had that consciousness of like, I will teach you. It was just like, there, you go to school. They'll teach you to add and multiply and stuff. And, I feel like there was a lack of that kind of consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're getting into a whole other, we're opening a can of worms kind of there.
Healthy worms though.
Yeah, I always am thinking more along the lines of the education system and helicopter parenting and...
What is helicopter parenting?
You don't know?
I might know what it is, but not what it's called. Like, I don't know.
I'm surprised.
What is it?
It's like those overprotective parents that are...
Why is it called helicopter?
Because it's like a hovering thing that's always there, kind of.
I think my mom tried at some point to be like that, and I didn't like it.
No,
and I think terrible. She would agree to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that can be another story. But yeah, like if it is this whole like industrial revolution that messed us up.
The technological revolution is going to save it.
I'm not too against it.
No, I mean, I think it does have... It has changed that approach that we have to being more wholesome, I would say. And I think it is partly, a millennial thing. And that's why I was trying to think of the education system and all that, because I think it kind of also is reflected on, the new anti-bullying policies that many schools have, or...
what? Like, people joke about it, like, oh, there's always been bullying and whatever. But I have had, like, this conversation with myself, like, super recently, like, in the past couple of weeks or whatever, because I was a bit of a bully to one of my best friends right now.
Yeah.
And she technically was one of my best friends back then, but I was a bully to her because I wasn't the worst of her bullies. I wasn't, like, the instigator, but I went along with it. Yeah. And I do think that there wasn't a conversation about bullying. If like, I'm not trying to justify myself. I've talked about it with her, and, she's forgiven me, thank God. But I do think that it makes a difference. And I don't think back then it was very much of, like, a... It's not like I didn't know that it was bad, I guess, but it's weird. Because, of course, like, I guess but I guess you don't understand the depths of, like, how we made her feel, I guess back then maybe... Because I'm talking about elementary. And I guess I didn't understand the depth of, like, what she was feeling, what she was going through. It was just like, oh, we're just kids and this is how we play. But I do appreciate that it is a conversation now, and it is taught. See, this is my deal with people, that we need to be actually, like, taught and shown, and not just, like, be over there kind of thing, which is what I feel happened a lot when we were kids.
Yeah. I kind of have that sort of be taught feeling now about dancing, kind of.
How do you mean?
Like, I've been going to this new school, right? And I don't know if I told you this. I don't know if I told it here on a cup of tea, or if I just said it to you, or if it's just in my head. But I have this thing of the teachers in that school have when you're not dancing, they're always like, now stretch. Which my teacher and I cringe at. Because we read this study a couple of years ago, a long time ago, that linked injuries with static stretching with overstretching, more like it. It's like if you are doing your activity and you start stretching, your muscles lose their pliability. I don't know. They like loosen up. So when you need them to
be strong,
engage and be strong again, they can't as much, and so that's when they can give, and you can get injured. Like you can sprain your ankle, or
I have gotten hurt from like stretching. So
yeah, so there's this theory, or what the study said, that is you can do active stretching before your activity and static stretching afterwards, but do not do it either between the activity or before. Because that is the surefire way to increase the likelihood of an injury.
So they do it here.
So they do it here. And it drives me insane. And I also think, I do like that they have a lot more like conditioning during class, which is great. But I'm like, no, don't stretch, and be more wholesome about the whole thing, Don't just be like, stretch your leg. You can be like, explain the anatomy of the leg and how that works.
Yes, I love
so that you can teach a 10-year-old how their leg works, and be like, okay, you have these muscles here and you have, these joints, and they work together like this. So if you make your like upper part of your leg super strong, then you're going to stretch a lot more, that kind of thing.
I would so love for that to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so.
Yes. So I think we are on a good path as a society in general towards something better. Beauty culture wise and health wise and all of that stuff. Of course, there's a lot of scammers out there. But in general, I think, it's a more embracing sort of thing. And I guess that if I go back to what I was saying in the first part, which again, you should listen to, if you haven't, is I guess it's not that terrible if I go out and my hair is not the way I want it to be. Or I think sometimes I do think we pay way too much attention to something that other people, like, it doesn't really even cross their mind, or don't even think about it. Because also, I can also be very superficial, and it can be like, I don't care whether you have acne scars or not, and that's fun. Like, that won't make or break our friendship.
Yeah, no.
Right? So
it is that thing where, like, we think that people are, like, looking at us and thinking about all of our flaws, and, like, that is not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it does not exist. I promise you.
Yes.
You yourself think about your flaws. Like, it's not even... Because I was going to say, you do it way more than other people.
Yeah.
But it's such an understatement. Like, of course, you are always... Okay, if someone at some point, like, sees a flaw, thinks about a flaw that you have, the thought will cross their mind and exit, and that's it. They will not give it a second thought. Yeah. That's it.
And you go over and
we're
over.
always like, oh no, are they going to notice? Are they going to know? I must, that kind of thing. Which is really sad. But if we can come to that understanding.
Yeah.
To that understanding of we think about this, and I have the power to not care about it as much. And another sort of revelation thingy would be that, Jesus, I like had it, and then it kind of went away.
Oh, get it back.
I know. What is it? It was a revelation thingy.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if it will come back.
Let's hope it does.
Yeah. Because it was about the, understanding that people think, oh, I know what it was. Understanding that people don't think about you as much as, I don't know if it was, Elizabeth Gilbert who said this. Or someone else. No, it might have been Brené Brown. I think it's Brené Brown. Yeah.
Okay.
I think she was saying that when she was a kid, they would do this plays in front of like the older family members and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I might be wrong. Sure, it might not be Brené Brown. I think it is her. If someone knows, they can tell me. We're very inviting of people telling us that we're wrong.
Of course, yeah. Comment, tag us, share your knowledge with us.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point of the conversation. Yeah. But anyways, so she was saying, and she was afraid of like, what would people think? And I think her mom told her like, no one cares. And that freed her forever in her life. And it was a lesson she would take with her. And I think that's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for better or for worse, people will not care. And that can be freeing. But that was one thing. And the other thing is that more along the lines of this, like, sender-receiver thing, the thing about what a person says or does speaks more about them than yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's another really big one that we should learn very early in life. That will help us. Because even, you know, like my mom and her trauma about her scars, I learned very early on that, you know, it was her trauma. She was talking from her trauma.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to, like, put up a wall and be like, well, that's yours, and it is not mine.
Yeah.
I can do that. I have that power, you know, even if it crawled itself into me at some point in life. It is something I did learn and that I apply to, like, way a lot of people in conversations. It's a good thing to learn and have it in your, like... I told this to Pablo the other day because he had an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can show you some, like, breathing exercises that you can put in your utility belt for next time. And I really like that idea of, like, you know, having the utility belt where you have these, like, notions or ideas or concepts of life as well as actual techniques and things that you can do to help yourself. And it's like, yes.
That is cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Well, I think it's your turn to recommend something.
I don't know if I have recommended this before. It's not on YouTube. It's on Facebook Watch. Red Table Talk with Mrs. Jada Pinkett Smith. Love her. I am so thankful for Red Table Talk. I love it so much. It's her, Gammy, who is her mom, and Willow, who is her daughter. Amazing. And I think the Brené Brown thing that I was saying came from an episode she did with them. If it isn't in there, just watch it because it is awesome anyways. And they talk about various things in Red Table Talk, so choose whatever you're feeling like. And I believe the Brené Brown book that I did start listening to a while back was the Dare to Lead one. I will say, just as a you know, like, curious side note, I was listening to it on, what's the Audible? In Audible, yes. And for the life of me, I cannot do audiobooks.
You can't?
No, I've tried. I really want to get into them. I really do.
I think the key is the timing, but I don't know what you're.
What do you mean the timing?
I mean, for example, I loved listening to The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments on audiobooks. And I also loved Anne Pratchett's The Dutch House. Mm-hmm. Also, and that was Tom Hanks narrated it.
Oh, wow.
And I loved that. Although I think it has a lot to do with the narrator. If they can make or break it. Because I was listening to this other one called All the Light We Cannot See. It's a lovely
I wanted to read that one.
It's amazing. I love it.
It is on my list.
But the audiobook is terrible. The narrator, the guy, is just so boring.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. And so I even had to I never do like the double speed thingy. I had to do it because he spoke so slowly and it was so boring. But the book is lovely. It is. I love that book.
I do want to read that one.
I can send it to you.
Thank you. I think I need to try a novel in audiobook. Because I've only tried those like self-helpy kind of, that kind of book. And those I really like. I mean, any book that it's an actual hard copy, it's just amazing to like read and the pages and everything. But because I've only done kind of like the self-helpy books, I think I get lost in my train of thought. And then I stop. I really, really stop listening to it. But that happens
again with actual reading.
I know, but I catch myself a lot faster when I'm reading, and then I look. You know, if I get to the bottom of the page, it's like, oh shit, I don't know what I just read. And go back. But in audios, I really. There's no mark for me to like be like, oh damn it, I don't know what just happened. But maybe with a story where I can follow the story rather than the other books. I can give it a try. You know what? I did download the Outlander books. I have not tried listening to them, but they are I will try.
Yeah. Well, I did listen to audiobooks while showering and while driving. Those were the two, like, the moments of reading.
Yeah. It's like, you know this thing about, like, if you're, like, kinesthetic or like, visual or auditive. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I actually don't know which one to say that I am. But I do know that the audiobooks just take me to a very mindy space, like mental place. And that gets me lost.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can't.
Well, those are our recommendations for the week.
Yeah, and apparently that book that it's on my list that you read and is really good, we could recommend that one, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you could. I can't.
There's several recommendations for today.
Exactly.
The Red Table Talk.
Amazing.
What was the other thing that you said?
Brené Brown's book, Dare to Lead.
Oh, right. And All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I think that's his name. Yes. So thank you for joining us for this cup of tea.
Yeah. It was, I don't know if all of our cups of tea are as rambly as this one, or it just feels that way. But if you've made it this far, thank you. And comment and let us know what you think, what your experiences are. And, you know, start the conversation, because that's why we share the cup of tea with you.
Yes. Tag us on Instagram. I don't know that we will ever have a Twitter.
We will see about that.
Yes. Anyway, we will talk at you, with you.
Thank you. Every time I'm like cringe about it.
We will join you for a cup of tea next week.
Exactly. There you go. I like that one. Alrighty. Well, thank you.
Bye, everyone. To watch more episodes of A Cup of Tea, click the link on the right. If you want to watch Pockets in the Universe, go to the playlist on the left.